Thank you for returning to my channel. Thank you in advance for your time and for listening. So I got a little mic because some of y'all are saying that my volume is too low or something. So here's this. This is for you. So today we're going to talk about the stale people who still kind of want to bounce in and out of your life, okay? A lot of times, really good people experience overwhelm. A lot of this just has to do with you really asking yourself what you want and what you deserve, not what you've had or what your experience has been in the past, okay? A lot of you were attached to people who couldn't even give you the things that you really wanted and were needing and were looking for. It's just because in your mind you made up this idea that they had this potential, that you really fell in love with the potential, not the actual person, okay? And so all these ideas around these stalemates are dissipating, okay, for many of us. And a lot of you all are experiencing people who you shared your love with coming back and wanting to know if they can get that feeling again, if they can get your attention again, if they can get your time, your love, your energy again. And you had to cut them off. You had to leave them on red. You had to, because they had their opportunity. A lot of the people had their opportunity. You know, they had ample time to give you what you needed. They had ample time to love you in the correct way. And for whatever reason, they decided to do their own thing. So now it's time for you to decide to do your own thing and to really go get what you really want, instead of trying to make things and people work that you were the only one trying. Okay, for a lot of you, you're coming to the realization that you were really the only one trying, and it was you that made that relationship good, and it was you that made that love good. It was you. It wasn't the other person. And there was much imbalance between what you were offering and what the other person was offering. And for a lot of you, you were overcompensating for what that person wasn't doing because you just saw their potential. Potential doesn't really exist, okay? Potential only exists if the person wants to see it for themselves, but it's not really there. That's your own idea of what they could be, but it's not theirs. So it's not relevant, okay? Some of you weren't really in love with that person. You were just in love with the feeling that they gave you. And the reason that you were in love with the feeling that they gave you is because you were in a desperate energy. You were in an energy of thinking that you had to take whatever was available, or you had to accept some part of this person even though they really weren't what you wanted. And, you know, you're not doing that anymore. You're not seeing things in that way anymore. You're not being so accommodating anymore. And a lot of these old stale lovers are going to come back and they're going to realize that, oh wow, you've changed so much. And they're also going to see the repercussions of them not appreciating your love in the time frame and the repercussions that that had. Because a lot of times, you know, when you're in something, yeah, both people have to put in work. But when one person decides to leave, or when one person decides that, you know, they want to play the field, or they want to see whatever else is out there, and they go do that, and you willingly allow them and let them and don't stop them, just let them go and do that. And they come right back around when they realize that, oh man, it's not it's not so good out there. You were actually, because I think a lot of you have had people come and say, you were actually the best thing, and I was this at the time, and I was that at the time, and that and that and that, and they're giving you all these excuses for why they couldn't be what you needed in the time. But it's kind of like, so what? For a lot of you, you're in the energy of so what? Okay? And for a lot of you, it may take you reconnecting with an old, stale lover for you to realize that they weren't that fucking great. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't that great. You were what made them great. Your ideas about them is what made them great. Your ideas about their potential and what y'all could be is what made the relationship something. It wasn't them. Okay? For a lot of you, you're going to realize that the feelings of love that you had wasn't really coming from them. It was coming from yourself. And because your love was being circulated through them, you misunderstood where that love was actually coming from. It wasn't coming from them. For many of you, you're going to cut the stragglers and the stranglers off cold turkey. You're going to just not speak to them anymore. You're just going to say that there's no real need for it because they already experienced you and they left. Okay? And for many of you, you got to stop looking at them leaving as a bad thing, because it was actually your angels protecting you. It was actually allowing you to move further along, because for many of these people, had they stayed in your realm, they would have slowed you down. They would have held you down with their own issues and with their own hang-ups and with their own insecurities. And for many of these people that are kind of making their way back around to you, it's more for their own ego to see if they still have that pull on you, or to see if they still have that access to you. And for many of you, you just can't give them that access anymore. You've done what you could. For some of you, you've been in a space where you feel as if, maybe you haven't met a person that you really like in a while. Or maybe you haven't really connected with someone on a deep level in a while. So you're still kind of nostalgic about an old partner. But that can change in an instant. That can change in a day. That could change immediately. But before things can change, you have to be open to the idea of them changing, or else you're going to stay in the same mind frame, okay? It's kind of like, for some of you, ask yourself, do you really think that your angels can't bring you better? Do you really think that your angels can't actually bring a partner to you that satisfies you in every area? Do you really think that your angels would have you out here tolerating? Because a lot of you have just been tolerating things because you're in a relationship and you want to make it work and da-da-da-da. But you're not happy. You're not happy. And a lot of you are comparing yourselves to other people and what you see and what they're posting and everything. But what you don't understand is they're not happy either. They're not happy either. They're lying. Okay? And you know what I found too? That a lot of couples that like to put everything online, it's because they are actually having really big issues. And so they're kind of trying to overcompensate by showing the world something totally different and something totally untrue. Okay? For many of you, you need to realize that these stale lovers were also very jealous of you. and you made them feel insecure, and you brought out their competitive side because they know that they weren't really good enough for you. And so they begin to act out in that way because deep down they know that they didn't deserve you. A lot of you got ghosted because really the person knew deep down that they didn't deserve you. But because they couldn't say that, they had to like make it into something different. And then for some of you, you kind of went down this road of asking yourself, well, am I good enough? Or am I attractive enough? Or am I enough? You know, a lot of us went down that road for a time because this person had us all screwy in the head, okay? Those days are done. Those days are done, okay? And it's going to be kind of like, you know, how come you don't speak to me anymore? How come this? Or, you know, there's going to be people that are going to be asking you questions like that. And it's kind of like, oh, you had your opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why people feel the need. I don't know why people think that because you're a person of the light, that you're always just supposed to be in that energy. No matter what they do, say, where they go, and how they come back. You know what I mean? And I think for a lot of us this year, we're putting a hard stop to that crap. Like, it's just not happening anymore. A lot of you may have nostalgia about a certain aspect of a person. Maybe you miss the sex, you know, because that's like a big deal, you know. Maybe you miss the feeling. Maybe you just miss the intimacy. Maybe you miss the conversation and all that. But you don't miss the person as a whole. You just miss an aspect of them, right? Which is telling of y'all's true experience, not of what you made it out to be in your own mind, you know? A lot of times it takes being alone to realize these things, because when we're with somebody, it's like their wants become our wants somehow, and their needs become our needs, and we kind of intertwine, and you know, it can get real sticky. And a lot of you guys are just unwinding yourselves from all the things that you picked up while you were dealing with these stale partners. These partners didn't really give you anything. You gave everything and they gave very little. But again, sometimes we can get high off of our own love energy, you know, and especially when we're sharing it with somebody, that energy can bounce off, and we feel like, we may think at the time that it's them, but it's really us. It's really our love energy being circulated. That's a very real thing. And for some of you, you know that now. You know that now. Like, it was you all along. It wasn't them. It was you all along. And I think for whoever you are listening to this, once you come to terms with the fact that it was you all along, you're going to have a totally different relationship with how you view yourself and how you show yourself and how you share yourself with others, you know. For many of us at this time, more than ever, we're really needing our true divine partner. And if that is not available, we're better off being alone. We're better off being single, you know. And this isn't for everybody, but this is for a lot of us. It's just kind of like, it's this idea that they don't get to recycle you when their other shit didn't work out. They don't get to come back over to you. Like, they don't get to do that anymore. You know, for many of you, I think you went through a period where you allowed some of that, or you still had hope that, oh, maybe after this, or maybe after they get a better job, or maybe after they get things situated with their kids, or maybe after they stop, you know, whatever the maybe was. We're not waiting for the maybe anymore. You're not waiting for the maybe anymore. You're good on it, okay? Now, this is going to make a lot of people upset because this isn't something that you're announcing. This is something that you're now living by. This is something that you're now saying for yourself that you're not going to tolerate anymore. And so when they do try to make their reappearances, you know, you're not there. You're gone. Like, you're gone for good. For a lot of you, you're gone for good now. There was a period of time, if you're being really honest with yourself, there was a period of time that you would have let them back in. But now, no. And some of them are going to be very hurt by this. And some of them are going to have very deep feelings, or maybe even a deep sense of anger about this now, because they might be angry at you, but they're more so angry at themselves for not seeing your worth in the time, for not seeing your value in the time that you were sharing it, okay? A lot of them were thriving off of your love. A lot of them were thriving off of your sex. A lot of them were using the energy that you exchanged and that you gave. It wasn't even an exchange, it was more of a giving. Because an exchange is when someone gives you something and you give them something. No. For many of you, y'all were just giving to them. You were feeding them in a way. You were actually feeding these people like food. They were feeding off of you, okay? Because they were so, they had nothing. They really had nothing. They might have looked good, but inside, they didn't have anything to share. So you were filling them up essentially, and at the time you may have thought that they were in love with you, but no, you were the one filling them. You were the one pouring into them, okay? And you mistook this for some type of love, but it was just really you giving to someone who desperately needed what you had. They desperately needed what you had, okay? And there's no way they can repay you for what you gave them, and there's no way they can repay you for what you shared with them. There's no way that they could, okay? They don't have the capacity. A lot of this is just about capacity. It's not even they were horrible and this and that. No, you just have a larger capacity than them. Let them fall away and let them figure it out and let them go out into the world and let somebody else use them just like they used you. It's only fair, right? It's only fair, you know, like, let them go out there and experience the opposite of you, okay? Because for a lot of you, they're only coming back around because they've experienced the complete opposite, and they want to still see if you find them worthy of your time and attention again after they went off and dealt with whatever crap. You've grown too much for that. You've done too much for that. You've learned too much from that to ever allow that to be a thing anymore. And this is not something that you need to tell them, okay? You just need to make the decision for your own and know that someone else is there. Someone else will be there. And there's always better. There's always better. There's always more compatible. There's always better. There's always richer. And not just financially, but richer in spirit and richer in love and richer in support, okay? You don't have to settle for that. You don't have to feel as if that's the best that you're gonna get, because again, there's always better. And if you're really honest with yourself, you weren't satisfied in that relationship anyway. Like, you weren't really satisfied anyway. You know, you just like maybe having them around. You liked having someone to bounce ideas off of, but you weren't really satisfied. So now it's time to find what really satisfies you, or to let what you really desire come in and to allow it. Because a lot of you want it, but you haven't taken the steps to allow it. And allowing means maybe changing your phone number, maybe just not speaking to those people that you spoke to before, not allowing people that you used to talk to come back into your life. Maybe it's you deciding that you're not gonna be available, or maybe you're gonna move to another city and you're just gonna disappear. Maybe it can be anything for any of you, but you have to do something, okay? Because if not, these people are still gonna think that they can come back and you'll allow it, or they can go and mess something up and to completely destroy whatever, or completely whatever they went to was like a con, you know. They're real messed up now, and now they want to come back to the divine energy. Now they want to come back to the pure love that at the time they didn't even realize that is what they were receiving. You can't allow that. You're too good for that. You're too expensive for that. You know, you're too magical. You're too magical for this now. Now, there was a time where you didn't know of this magic, but now you know of it. You know, you're aware of it. And so you kind of have to operate in a different way because of it. They can't come back around. They can't. They misjudged you, and they're upset about that. And trust me, they'll be letting you know that with whatever way that they will. You know, you'll see a lot of frustrations when you start to move in this fashion, but you must. It's a must for you, because you've already went through that. You've already seen what that's gotten you. You've already seen what happens when you tolerate things. You've already seen this, okay? So, you know, what's next for you is the best. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Cheers and ciao.